Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Chatting with Chapman. I'm your host, Andre Chapman Jr., also known as Dre Made It Happen. And I have the pleasure of sitting with the World U20 champion, Pan American U20 champion, NACAC bronze medalist, one of the first male sprinters to go pro right out of high school, and a huge mental wellness advocate, Josephus Lyles.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yo, thank you for being here with me today, man.
Oh yeah, no problem. You already know. You said we getting the podcast together. I was like, we gotta do a little something,
You
something.
know what I'm saying? Yo, I appreciate the support. I appreciate it. So a little bit of background. I started this podcast because I wanted to create a platform where athletes, especially high school level athletes, can learn from professional and collegiate athletes who've been in their shoes, right? My goal is to demystify the mental challenges that professional athletes and collegiate athletes have had to face and show that even the ones at the top have had to put in work into their mental game. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping that coaches, athletes, and parents can tune into these podcast episodes and use these as inspiration and guidance for to help them with any challenges they may be facing.
Yeah, and that's so important because there's a lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of just like videos, I guess, about like the performance of sprinting, the performance of like being an athlete from a technical perspective, from a physical perspective, but like the mental is like that's a lot of the battle. Like as I would say, like 75% of it is like mental in terms of like you can be 100% ready physically, but if the mental's not there, it's going to be really hard to compete, really hard to get the best performances out of yourself. So it's really important, the mental
Yeah,
side of
yeah,
the game.
absolutely, man. How do you mentally prepare for high pressure moments or situations?
It's funny because it's changed a lot as like I have gotten more mature in the sport. I would say when I was in high school, actually, both of my parents actually ran track professionally. Um, and because of that, I was exposed to a lot of, um, I guess, things that most high schoolers wouldn't be exposed to. So, like, once like me and my brother started getting really good, my mom was like, I have connections to like a sports psychologist that was one of her teachers in college, and then she connected us with her. And like so when I was in high school, we actually like were talking to a sports psychologist. It wasn't like all the time, but it was just like enough to like kind of like understand like, um just like teach us, I guess, like tricks, get us like visualizing. I think
Hmm.
visualizing is like really important for like racing as well. And usually when I go into races, I at least like to visualize somewhat like the day before, like how my race is gonna go, like try to visualize like the best possible outcomes always, and try to like block out any like negative outcomes, like in terms of like seeing my race, seeing me like coming across the line in first place, winning, running well, like executing like to the best of my abilities. Um, and I would say like I also try to like relax a lot before my races. Like when I'm preparing for a race now, I used to like obsess with like, okay, like everything has to be perfect, this, and that. And uh I learned that when I would do that, it'd be actually like harder to um like make that perfect race. Whereas like if
Hmm.
I actually think about it less, if I'm like more relaxed, like if I have like a regular schedule, like leading up to a race, then I'll actually like perform better because I'm not like worried about I'm not worried about the race. I'm not worried about things that can go wrong or right. When I go there, I'm just like competing. So, and I'm just like staying present in the moment. So like that's very important for me. Like when I'm on the line, I definitely have like breathing routines. Whereas like if I feel like I'm not like very excited or very hyped, or if I feel like my like energy is like kind of down for the race, I'll try to breathe like very quickly to like get my heart rate up and try and get my mind right. Whereas like if I feel like I'm on the opposite spectrum, I'm like extremely like anxious, excited for the race, then I'll try to like calm my like breathing and get my heart rate a little bit down to just like focus in. So it's a little bit different every time, but it's like the same general like thoughts of like trying to like kind of stay like keep everything kind of the same. We go and we training and we do all these like great things in training. And I feel like the goal is to transfer your training to the track. So I would say like talking to the sports psychologist. I've like had like different mental coaches and sports psychologists throughout my career. And all of them have taught me different things and have also like helped me get through like different aspects of my career. So like talking to like a mental coach or a sports psychologist helps, but you know, it's not available to everyone. But there are definitely like I think like little skills that everybody can utilize whether you were talking to someone like externally or not.
Yeah, no, I think, man, you touched on a lot of great points. It's like I can go on a lot of tangents about visualizations, about the calming of the mind. I think what's really cool is the fact that your parents competed. And so they understand the game, they understand the challenges of the game from a mental side. And so they were able to pass some of those learnings on to you. Because one of the things that I'm noticing is, a lot of parents are unaware of sports. They didn't play sports, or if they did, it wasn't at an elite level. And so even trying to relate to their kids, it's a bit of a challenge, right? It's a bit of like a hurdle that they have to overcome. And so being able to talk to that sports psychologist at a young age, I'm sure was just, like you said, extremely beneficial. And I mean, even hearing you talk about like the visualization that you were doing, paying attention to your breath and making sure that you were calming yourself down when you would get those nerves before the race. Um, that's amazing, man. Can you talk a little bit about how you, because I'm assuming, right, you don't get to the race and try to implement these strategies like visualization and breath work that you just that day. So can you talk about
Yeah,
like where did you practice them? Did you use them in practice? Share a little bit about some of that.
yeah, definitely. So I would say, um, like for like a lot of my breath work, I learned it from like a a mental coach that I worked with for like I was like a year in like 2021. It was interesting because that's kind of the year where like I feel like I really started to like find my like groove in track and field. I had switched events that year from the 400 to the 200, and that was like really big. And in the beginning of the year, it wasn't really going that well. And by the end of the year, I was running like 20 flat, where my PR was like 20.5 or no 20.2, 20.3, like at the start of the year, which was good, but it was like a little bit different. And I was running that like on the circuit, like in the diamond leagues and stuff like that. So I was like
Mhm.
really good, but it took me a while to get there that year because I was having a very hard time actually transferring my practice to the track. So like that whole like first half of the year, I would say from like April to like July, like I was not PRing. I was even though I was running like great in practice, I was doing all these like good things in practice, but I wasn't seeing it on the track. And I started working with the mental coach like kind of in the middle of that year. And you know, most of the focus was actually not on, I would say, like performance in the moment. It was kind of like things that I can take to like, I guess, lessen my anxiety about the races, stuff like that. Cause I would have like really big anxiety because I expect a lot of out of me, as all athletes do. We expect a lot
Mhm.
out of ourselves. So I would go into like a session maybe, and we maybe would meet like twice a week and we talk about like, okay, like we'd have like a different technique that we practice every day, and we practice a lot of mindfulness. It's like being very present in the moment and not trying to like be like thinking in the future or
Mhm.
in the past, being like very present. So like one skill that was a really good skill that I learned, I feel like was it was like a you just like kind of like try to shut your mind off for like a couple minutes, and it kind of gets longer the more advanced you get. You just hear like whatever you hear, see, or feel, you just like let it pass through your body. And you just like you don't like hold on to like the thought of like what you are seeing or hearing or feeling, but you like acknowledge it. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that was like kind of like one of the starts like to that. And then we would work on breath work and stuff like that. And I would practice it in practice as well. So like if I would to do a session, go to practice and every day for like maybe like when you're warming up or after you finish your warming up, you just practice this for like, you know, a couple of minutes before you start your workout or something like that. And, you know, at first it's hard because you're not that good at it. And so it's like, okay, I'm just sitting there and it's like, okay, it's kind of boring. Da, da, da. You get better at it. And I feel like that's like in my career, that's probably helped me like a ton because I feel like I'm a pretty anxious person in terms of racing, whereas like I know I'm ready to run fast. So it's like when I know I'm ready to run fast, it's like, yeah, I need to run fast. It creates a lot of like, I guess, anxiety. Whereas like if you don't run fast, then it's like, okay, like now I'm like devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Or if even if I do run fast, I'm like, okay, like I messed up here, this, up there. Whereas like I feel like it allowed me to like run more free, to not really be like caught up in like these little things. Like things are gonna go wrong, things are gonna go right, and that's fine. So not getting caught up in like these like little aspects. But that also comes from practice. Whereas like if you can't practice how you compete, then it's gonna be hard to compete that way. So when I'm in practice, it's like, okay, like if I'm doing like an intense block session or intense practice, it's like, okay, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to do. The same way that I practice on it physically, the same way I'll practice on it mentally.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. I love what you said about mindfulness. That was one of the things I worked on this year with the athletes that I was coaching. And I would describe mindfulness as paying attention to your present moment experiences with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to be with what is. I can't take credit for that at all. That is UCLA, they have this place called the Mindful Awareness Research Center. And
Yeah.
so I used to go to like their meditations and stuff. And so when I was coaching, I brought some of those learnings with me to the athletes. And during the races, when they would come to me and share about some of the anxiety that they were getting, or I'm talking to them and I'm noticing that their emotions are heightened, one of the things that we would do is I would have them point to the different colors and just tell me the colors that you see. And it was all basically trying to bring them back to the present moment, right? Or I would tell them put their hands on their stomach and take deep breaths. Your stomach should be going out and it should be going in.
Mm-hmm.
And really just calming them down. And so they said that really helped. And I love what you said about the pressure that we put on ourselves, right? We have this expectation of we want to be great, we want to be great, and we want to achieve it right now. And
Yeah.
thinking that it all has to happen right at this moment is what causes some of that like anxiety. And it's funny because you could be like 100% physically fit and ready to do it. But if your mind is not on the same page as you, then it's never going to show up in the game. It's never going to show up in a race. And so you have to make sure that there's that alignment and there's no disconnect between the two.
Definitely, definitely. I feel like in my career I've been around a lot of great athletes, and I feel like I've also produced like some pretty like amazing feats. And I will say that the the best athletes in my opinion are, even though they are, you know, I would say like hard on themselves, they also allow like failure. And I feel like it is very important as an athlete to like allow failure, because if you don't allow failure, it will be very hard to succeed.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so like uh it's funny. So like Noah, of course, who's my brother. Um this many probably people probably know. We used to practice and we'd be in practice. And when I first started, I remember when I first started running like the shorter sprints, and I would go to practice. It would be like me, him, Kendall Williams, who's like one of my good friends, like Jalen Bacon. It'd be like like short sprinters. They're all like 9-second guys. At the time, I'm not running nowhere close to 9 seconds. I'll be practicing with them, and they would just be like tearing me up, tearing me up, tearing me up. Like we'd be doing blocks, and they'd just be whooping me. And
Yeah.
every practice, I would come to practice, and I would talk trash to them. And you know, eventually, I started doing better, and I started beating them, and I was able to like keep up with them on the blocks, sometimes beat them on the blocks, everything like that. And like now I have like a 6.5 CPR, and like I run 10 flat in 100. Um, but the funny thing is, like going into practice is like, okay, I'm okay with losing. I'm
Mm.
okay with failing, but I know that it's not always going to be like that. So it's like I will like work on what I need to work on to get better, and I can't shy away from this like race or this training, even though I know like I'm not gonna be like in the front. I'm not gonna be winning, because at the end of the day, like in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm the best.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I'm like not winning at the time or something, I'm like, I'm gonna win eventually. So I'm just gonna keep working on until I win. So like even when you look at like Noah, and Noah, like he ran 6:43 in the 60 this year. And Noah traditionally 60 is not that fast. And he's gotten like significantly better at it in like the last like 2 or 3 years. But like from a mental standpoint, he used to be significantly less comfortable running the 100 and the 60. And like when he would go into the races, he wouldn't necessarily think like, okay, like of course he's trying to win, but he's just not like, it's hard for him to go. It would be hard for him to go to races like winning and losing. And eventually he got to a point where he's like, I don't care. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. Like if I lose, I lose, and you beat me. But like I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna do what I need to do. I feel like it's like that for like most winners, where it's like most champions are gonna like there's a risk to fail every time you line up, and you have to be okay with the risk to fail. And if you fail, then you fail. Like nobody's ever gonna like nobody who ever won didn't fail
Mm-hmm.
at one point. So
Yeah.
it's like I feel like that's like very important, and a lot of I feel like kids especially um like especially if you're used to being like very good, it's
Mm-hmm.
hard for you to not succeed or not be first or maybe not PR. So a lot of times it's hard to be in like an environment where it's like, okay, like this kid may be fat. Like I'm racing people that are faster than me, a lot faster than me, stuff like that. And you have to be okay sometimes with like being in an environment where maybe you're not the best, or maybe you are not going to be first in a race, or even second, or even third. And like that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would say like also just like, don't really think about like embarrassment. I feel like a lot of times when people get like last or they get seventh or sixth, they'll be like, oh, like that's like I'm embarrassed. I remember like the first race I ran as a professional athlete, and I was 18 years old, and it was not even a big track meet. It was like Florida, it's like Tom Jones Classic at like University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I go in there, and I was like, I was good in high school, around 45.3, and I go into the race, and I'm in like lane three. Lane outside of me, I think it was like Matt Hudson Smith, who's a silver medalist now. He's one of my good friends.
Yeah.
Um, but he was like in the lane outside of me, and he had just come off of he was in the Olympic final, like literally like the year prior, because it's 2017. And then the lane outside of him, I think was like Tony McQuay, who's like a 44.2 runner.
Yep.
Lane outside of him, I think was Dave Verberg,
Mm-hmm.
44.4. It was a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of just like really good people. It was my first race as a professional, and I go into that giant, and I think I got like fifth or sixth. I didn't run fast at all. Like I ran like 46 something, which was not like that good even for me at the time. And I was like, that joint kind of hurt because I was like, oh, I feel like I could have did something, but it's like at the same time, it's like that whole year was just like me getting like a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Whereas like by the end of the year, um, I think I ran like 40, like, and I had started the year hurt. Like in the year I ran like 45.1 or 45.2, I want to say, and I had running like my first diamond league at the end of the year and everything like that, and just like my season started off with like me not really running that fast. I just came, but I got better, 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 better the whole year, and it was like at 18 years old and like being
Mm-hmm.
in an environment where it's like I was the best in high school, and I was like I might have got beat like once or twice, like in the last like 2 years of my high school career, and going from that to then being like, okay, like just like losing every race.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily feel great, but at the same time, it's not like the worst. It's not like it doesn't have to be like a bad thing, because I
Mm-hmm.
did get better every single race, and eventually I progressed to where I was PR and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just okay to be in those environments sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How do you manage the pressure, the external pressures or expectations? Because I could assume being 18, right? There are expectations of you to go out there and, do really well. How do you manage that and not allow that to affect your performance?
So the funny thing is, I do feel like pressure will affect my performance, but most of it is not external pressure.
Mm.
I feel like the most pressure I face is probably like internal pressure, just because I put so much pressure on myself to be like the best athlete that I can be always. And sometimes it doesn't work like that, where like my 100% on one day may not be equivalent to my 100% on another day. Like my 100% may be 19.9 on one day, and it might be 20.2 on a
Mm-hmm.
different day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's like a lot of pressure is like internal pressure. I feel like for a lot of athletes it is. Whereas like, you know, I don't I don't really care how I look to other people. I would say I would be like, okay, I just know how I should compete, or how I
Mm-hmm.
feel I should compete, and like what level of running I should be running. So like when I like I guess underperform,
Mm-hmm.
like that's like I guess like puts pressure on myself. But then on the other hand, I would say like not taking yourself too serious
Yeah.
definitely has helped me to like kind of like mitigate that pressure. Whereas like, you know, we run fast and we're athletes, you know, we perform at a high level, but at the end of the day we're just like normal people.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think when I was in high school, and I think it was a sophomore, I won like the New Balance Nationals like my sophomore year, and I ran like 46.2. I was so happy. I was like number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I'm like 15 years old at the time. And I got back home from the meet. We walk in the door, and my mom was like, "Yeah, congrats." Da, da, da. I was like, "Yeah, you gotta take out the trash though." That's your chores and stuff like that. It's like, you know, as high of a feeling as it can be to run well, and as low as a feeling it can be to like not run well.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world if you run bad, and it's not just like it's not everything in the world if you do run fast, or you do perform well. So just trying to stay like in kind of like a happy medium, whereas like don't let the lows get too low and don't let the highs get too high, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's literally what I tell my high school kids is don't let the lows take you too low and don't let the highs take you too high.
Yeah, because whatever you did today, like nobody cares tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's just something that maybe like you'll learn in life, where it's like the older I get, it's like nobody cares. Like if you ran bad, you know, people are probably gonna forget like the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ran good, people are also probably gonna forget like the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would you say that that mentality has helped you when you've been in like slumps or when you've been in a space of, hey, I'm not in the best mindset right now because I've been beating myself up, kind of reflecting back on it's not that serious. Would you say that that's been one of the things that have helped you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I wish I learned it earlier, because I feel like I only really started adopting that probably like in the last like 2 or 3 years. Um, which is, you know, it's fine. But I think when I was like, you know, 18, 19, 20, I would have probably it would have probably been a lot easier to like have that mentality, and it would have done me a lot better. Just because I used to beat myself up like a lot
Hmm.
when I felt like I wouldn't perform well. And I always feel like, oh, like, you know, I just ran bad. Like I can't do anything. I can't like I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe that happened. Uh, Everybody just saw me get like, you know, six, seven plays, whatever. And it's just like I would like let it like ruin like my whole day, or like a couple days, you know, where it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that happened.
Hmm.
Whereas like, you know, if I feel like if I had the mentality of like, you know, it's okay, things happen, bad races happen, good races happen, it happens to everybody. It would it would have helped me so much more as a younger person. Where now I feel like I'm much more comfortable in myself to be like, you know, I had a bad race, that's fine, or maybe I had a bad like, you know, couple races, and it's still fine because I still trust what I'm doing, and I know that like just because I have a bad race, that doesn't define like who I am as a
Hmm.
person.
Yeah. Yeah. You said a lot of great things that could potentially answer this next question that I'm about to ask you, but I just want to ask it to you to see if there's one specific thing that you could go back and give your high school self uh, some advice on the mental side. What would you say?
You know, if I was to give myself some advice from a mental side, I'd just say like have fun.
Mm,
Like I had like, you know, a solid amount of fun as running track as a high schooler, but I feel like it's very important. I feel like to just enjoy what you're doing, and have fun. Like you don't want it to feel like you're uh I shouldn't say at work, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like extremely stressful. I feel like especially like as a high schooler.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like some of my greatest like my most fun moments I feel like I had with like my high school team, my high school coaches, like running races and stuff like that. And it was fun. And I would say just like keep having fun. Whereas like the higher you get in the sport, it can become a little bit more stressful once finances start getting involved, money starts getting involved, things like that, you know, from even a collegiate level and a
Mm-hmm.
professional level. And I would say like just have fun,
Yeah.
keep having fun.
Yeah.
I would say the best races I always run is usually I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
having fun, it's a lot harder to run fast.
You're dreading being at the start line. You know what I'm saying? Like your mind is like, I really don't want to be here. Yeah, it makes it 10 times more difficult.
Yeah, like when you're just free, having fun, you love what you're doing. I'm out here. I'm gonna have a good time. I'm gonna get on that track and I'm gonna go blaze the track. And if I run fast, I run fast, and I'm gonna just enjoy what I'm doing. It's like it keeps you just in the moment. It keeps you enjoying yourself. So whether you run faster, like some races where I would say like I didn't perform my best,
Mm-hmm.
they're still fun. I still enjoyed them. I feel like they were
Mm-hmm.
like good races. The time may not reflect it, but they were good races. And some of my races where I ran extremely well, they were also fun. And but it just like depends where it's like I know, like I would say, there's like two examples where I had like a great race and I didn't get the outcome that I wanted, and I was still like optimistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I think at U.S. Trials in 22, I ran like 1993 and I got fifth. They were taking four to the World Championships, and I just missed it by like a couple hundreds, like two or three hundredths. And it was funny because after the race, it was like a fast, it was a really fast race. I PR'd in the race, and I didn't make the team, and I just knew I was ready to make the team. Like I knew I had what it takes, and I was devastated. I was like so devastated in the moment, but at the same time, I was like, I had a great time. I ran faster than I ever ran before. It was fun, and I was happy, really happy, but I was also like devastated. And I
Yeah.
come up, and later that night, I get a call, and they're like, "Oh, we want you to be on the relay team for the 4x1." And it's funny because I ran 200. I didn't run the 100 at the trials,
Yeah.
but yeah, and like that was like awesome because I was able to be on the world championship team that year because of that and everything like that. But like just like the outlook of like when I ran that race, and I was like, I had a great like I ran not the best race, but I had fun doing it. I ran a PR. I feel like all this happened because just like my momentum coming to the race was like, just go out there, go after it, go after it, go after it. Like don't let anybody stop you. So
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because I didn't run that best good of a race in terms of like execution, but everything like I feel like fell into place because it was like more of like me having fun. I was able to like just kind of like be in the moment. Whereas like I remember uh like I was at the London Diamond League in 2019 and I was
Mm-hmm.
running 200, and it was my birthday too. I think I just turned 20. So I was turning 20. I want to say, yeah, I was turning 20, and I got last place in that race. I ran like 20.8, 20.7 maybe. And I got last, dead last. It was like a 19.8 race. I got smoked.
Yes.
And I remember I was ready to run. I felt like I was ready to run fast, but I was like, this is my first time in the 200. Like I run a couple in the 400, but I was like, this is my first one in the 200. I need to go out there. I need to prove myself. I need to do this. I need to do that. I got to show them. And at the time, like my PR in 200 was like 20.5 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, I gotta prove myself.
Yeah.
And going out there putting like all that pressure on me, I wasn't really like I was like, I have to run fast. And it's my birthday, so I need to run
Mm-hmm.
fast even
Yeah.
more. And I
Yeah.
went out
Yeah.
there and I ran slow. And I remember I beat myself up after that race so bad. And I remember I went back to the hotel and I didn't leave the hotel. And this is my birthday.
Yeah.
And someone hit me up. It was like, oh, you want to go out? Da, da, da. I was like, no, no, I can't go out. Like I just ran bad and stuff like that. And I remember that just like just having that like outlook, then just like because it's like, okay, like I put all this pressure on myself. I didn't
Hmm.
necessarily have fun in the race. I wasn't trying to like, you know, go out there to have fun. I wasn't going out there trying to execute. I was going out there trying to like prove that I was like
Hmm.
I could hang in there, stuff like that. And it just kind of like didn't just ruin the race for me, but it ruined like that whole day for me. It
Yeah.
was, it's an important day. And so that's why I say like, having fun sometimes outweighs like the performance. Whereas like you may have a good performance just because you had fun.
Hmm.
Or just
Hmm.
because you're going in there with the mentality of having fun rather than like, trying to do stuff. And I feel like even in high school, whereas like whenever I tried to run fast, I would go to my state championships and try to run fast and I wouldn't run fast.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
I would go into other meets where I was like, I'm just here to like
Hmm.
do me and I'm gonna give my all. And that's when I would run fast.
Yeah, having fun, it's almost as if it is a way to be mindful, right? Like bring you back to the present and have you just think about the only objective here is to have fun and run fast. All that other stuff, it doesn't matter. I don't need to put pressure on myself because I'm just here to have fun, win or lose, fast or slow. As long as I'm like enjoying myself, that's the only thing that matters.
That's facts. That's facts. And I see like I think the hard thing is being around track like my whole life. Like my parents never put pressure on me to run track, even though they were both very good at track.
Yeah.
And they never put pressure on me to also be good at track.
Hmm.
So I think that also helped me to be better at track. Whereas like I feel like the for my parents putting a pressure on me at a young age to be like good or be the best probably would have hurt. Whereas like they just allowed us to like find the sport like naturally and just like, oh, if you want to do this, then like yeah, like you can do this. Like my parents never were like, oh, like you should go pro to college or you should go to the Olympics. Like we said, like I said that and Noah said that. Like
Yeah.
they never like introduced like any of those concepts to us. They were
Yeah.
just like, oh well, if you want to do that, we'll make sure that you have all the resources available so that like we can make your goals possible. But they were never like, oh, like you should go to the Olympics or you should be this, you should be that. It was
Yeah,
like,
that
nah.
and that makes sense too for how you answered the question earlier about external pressures because you were in an environment where it's all about, hey, whatever is best for you. I'm not going to put my own objective on you. I want you to succeed. So then now the only pressure that's coming is internally, right? It's not you're not paying attention to what's going on at school, what's going on in the media, because that's just not the environment that you were brought up in.
Yeah, exactly. Like even my coaches would be like like this I would we come to them and like this is what I want to run this year.
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, this is what you want to run. All right, well, we'll have to like this is what we'll have to do to run this. But it's not like, oh, like this is what you should be running, da da da. And be like, nah, like I want to run this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is a PSA right here for coaches
Yeah.
and parents. Stop putting your own objective on your athlete. Let your athlete do exactly what's best for your athlete, and you just be there to guide them and provide the necessary resources for them to succeed.
Yeah, because I feel like, I never when I first started running track, I think I was in the eighth grade, and we just ran for our high school. And it was fun. Like it was so fun. We would have like game days like every Friday, and we could like tag and like stuff like that. And we would work out hard, but it wasn't like that was the goal. And by the end of the year, I was like, I think like either the fastest, the second fastest eighth grader in the country that year.
Wow.
And that was like my first year like running AAU like for real, and I ended up getting like second or third at the Junior Olympics and stuff like that. And then
Hmm.
it was just like I just enjoyed it and it
Yeah.
was fun and all my friends were doing it and that's why I ran.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
honestly. And it ended up like I just got better and better and better. The year progressed. Like I think I started off the year running like 55, 56
Hmm.
seconds in the 400. And by the end of the year, I was running like 50 flat and like 22. And it was just fun.
Yeah, yeah. And I think when you're having fun, excuse me, it allows the hard work to be excuse me, like meaningful, right? If you're out there with your friends and you know the workout's going to be hard, just having that camaraderie makes you feel like, hey, I can get through this because I'm with the homies. We're out here having fun. We're trying to get better as opposed to I have to do this workout because this is what's going to take me to that next level. This is what's going to help me hit this time. It's going to get the complete opposite result.
Yeah, definitely. Where it's like of course there'd be times where like, okay, I gotta push and stuff like that, but definitely like having friends there, having Noah there was like a big help. I feel like for both of us because we always knew that like we'd have like someone there with us. So like whatever training session we had, it was always a little bit easier because there's someone that is gonna be like right next to you the whole time. So it's like anytime I would be hurting, he would he would push me. Anytime he's hurting, I would push him.
Yeah.
And I feel like yeah, just having that camaraderie, having that like accountability, not just from them, but even from like my coaches, from like my teammates, where it's like, okay, like, if you want to be good, we got you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that kind of like accountability from, I guess, everybody,
Yeah.
in the whole team, as we say, your
Yeah.
team.
Yeah, yeah. Yo, I appreciate that, man. This has been amazing. You've given some great answers. I know that there's going to be a lot of knowledge to be able to. There's going to be a not. There is going to be a lot of knowledge received from this conversation, and I feel like it'll be beneficial for parents, athletes, and coaches. I think a lot of great topics were covered, and so I appreciate that, man.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. It was good talking to you. We probably gotta do it again.
Oh,
Have to look
absolutely.
back.
Absolutely. Yo, before you go, I do this thing called rapid fire questions. And so we got 30 seconds on the clock, and you just spit out whatever comes to you first. Um, are you ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. What's your go-to pregame hype song?
Uh there's a Kanye West, Jay-Z, Soft Watch the Throne. What is it? What's the song called?
Uh-oh.
Dang it. What is that song called? I can't remember. But that song
How does
and
it go? You got to sing it for us.
uh why am I drawing a blank right now? Um I can't remember the whole thing, but there's this one part of the song, and it's like Jay-Z. He was like, "Lucky lefty, I expected seven. I went through hell, I'm expecting heaven. I'm gone, son.
It's not Ham, is it?
No, it's not him, but I do like him. That used to be
Ham
my
is
high school
fire.
one.
Yeah, same.
And then there's a Rise Against song called which is like a rock band. It's called
Mhm.
dang, why are all my songs not
Man.
coming to mind? But this is like my go-to like right before I race. Every time I put this song on, it's called But Tonight We Dance by Rise
Okay.
Against. Every single
Okay.
time.
Okay. What's your favorite cheat meal?
Pizza. I love pizza and I love milkshakes. Pizza and
Okay.
milkshakes.
I think I heard that in one of your post interviews. It's like a milkshake from Chick-fil-A or something like that.
Noah does too, so it might have been him too. And pizza. There's one meat. I think I will use. I eat pizza every single day for like 7 days straight.
Wow. Wow. What's your favorite off-day hobby?
I love doing puzzles and I like photography as well. So those two.
Okay. If you could relive one moment from your career, what would it be?
uh, my career, I would say probably going back to high school, probably like that first 400 at nationals that I won my sophomore year because I just was not supposed to win that joint at all. I was in lane eight. It was like, Taylor, I think who was in there? Like Zaire Clems was in there, Richard
Mhm.
Rose. It was like at the time there were some heavy hitters, and my PR was like 47 at the time.
Yeah.
Went into that joint and dropped like a whole second, like over a
See.
second off my PR to win out of lane eight. Couldn't see nobody.
Wow. Wow. And then the last question is best advice you've ever been given.
Best advice I've ever been given. I say probably just take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't help anybody else if you ain't taking care of yourself.
That's facts.
And take care of yourself.
That's facts. That's facts. Yo,
And
thank you, man.
don't get caught up in the hype.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yo, appreciate you, man. This is
Oh
dope.
yeah.
I definitely have to get you on again, man.
Maybe we'll come to LA. We could do like a little joint in
Hey, I'm
person or
I'm with
whatever.
it. I'm with it.
You feel me?